Welcome to New Life Live, the premier place to receive free advice from Christian psychologists and counselors for the mental, emotional, relational, and spiritual challenges you face. Since 1988, we've offered compassionate responses that combine God's truth with proven psychological principles to guide you toward healing. Our phone lines are open. Call us now at 1-800-229-3000.
Hello, welcome to New Life Live. I'm your host, Brian Perez, and we are here for the next hour to talk to you about whatever issues it is you're going through. Give us a call, or you can send us an email online. But answering your questions today, we've got licensed marriage and family therapist Marc Cameron and clinical psychologist Dr. Alice Benton. How are you guys doing today?
Doing well.
Yep, very well.
Great to have you here. Alice, what's on your mind right now?
Prayer and why God is sometimes slow to answer. We were discussing in my family if we believe God will intervene with our imperfections if we ask him. And my 7-year-old, Walter, said he will, but he's going to be real slow to answer. And that's an experience that I think most of us feel about prayer. So I was reading the book of Daniel recently, and there was a fascinating opening into the spiritual realm in Daniel's experience and why prayer can be delayed. So I want to look at a couple of reasons why there's a delay. In Daniel's case, an angel visited him. He had been fasting for 3 weeks and praying for God to restore the people of Israel. The angel appeared to him. It may have been Gabriel, although the angel's not named in this portion. It may have been Gabriel. And he said to Daniel, since the first day you set your heart to understand and to humble yourself before God, your words were heard. What a reassurance. Your words were heard since the first day. Now, he's at least 3 weeks in to this course of prayer. So the angel then says, but the prince of the kingdom of Persia fought against me, and Michael joined me and helped me, and now here I am. So it appears to be a reference to what can happen in the spiritual realm when God sends angels in answer to prayer, or at least did so with Daniel, that there can be battles going on in the spiritual realm of which we are completely unaware. But when we humble ourselves and when we begin to pray, God hears us from the first time we open our mouth. So a couple of other reasons why prayer may be delayed. If God has already nudged us to do something else about this thing we're praying about, and it's usually humbling ourselves. It's usually, have you confessed yet that thing that God has been putting on your heart? Have you admitted? Have you apologized? That's the most obvious answer to prayer I get. Alice, did you confess yet what I told you to confess? He often nudges us to serve and or to take a risk, to make a request. And if we have not yet fulfilled that thing we know we're being nudged to do, the rest of the answer can be delayed because God has already given us a part of the answer. And so we have to act for the rest of the answer to come. Sometimes the delay itself, it is the answer because he's building our faith and testing our faith in the delay of the reply. Sometimes his answer is no. And it's important for us to believe that God's answer for us is always best, even when we dislike the no. For some reason, the no is a better answer than what we thought we needed a yes for. And then I want us to look at the way Daniel prayed, because he had such a sanctity about the way he approached God. He prayed 3 times a day, and he knelt down each time he prayed. That one really got me. I thought, when was the last time I knelt down? I don't tend to kneel anymore to pray. And he was fasting. And so we can really consider whether or not we need to ramp up the way we approach God, the frequency, and if we ever add fasting into our prayers and humbling ourselves before God.
I love that because as Christians, we just want to read the last page of the book. We just want to get to the end of the story. And I don't mean, being raptured or going to heaven, but we can't wait. But God writes our story one page at a time, one chapter at a time. So when we're asking him to intervene, it's just part of the whole plan. So hang in there. Okay, great words of encouragement to start us off today on New Life Live. That was Dr. Alice Benton. She's a clinical psychologist, and licensed marriage and family therapist Marc Cameron is here too. We're going to go to the phones. Belinda, you will be first when we come back. Patricia, everyone else that's calling in today, we would love to answer your questions. If you're watching us right now or listening, call us up. We would love to chat with you too here on New Life Live and newlife.com. God bless you.
Restore, gave me strength,
It gave me more belief in my faith. I met up with a group of women that are going through things that they had no control over.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or physical affair, or pornography, Restore Intensive will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
When two people want to do their part, we can be restored. But if they don't, we can still be restored. We are not stuck because someone else made a decision. That God lets us weigh in on how we want to walk out our lives. Our wellness does not hinge on another person's decision.
The Restore Intensive is coming to Dallas, Texas, May 2nd through the 4th. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50.
I had a great experience at Restore.
1-800-NEW-LIFE and the discount code NLL. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
And we're going to go right to the phones, beginning with Belinda in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, who is listening online, I take it, newlife.com. Hello, Belinda. Thank you so much for calling in today.
Hi. I just wanted to check in. I'm just needing some help. I work, I really enjoyed my workplace over the years, but things have changed in recent years. I work full remote and have, for quite a few years.
Even before COVID?
Yes, actually, even before COVID. That is true.
So you were work from home before work from home was cool.
Yes, that is very much the case. Yes, but lately, things in the last 2 or 3 years, things have gotten really confusing, and I'm constantly put in situations where I'm supposed to do this, but I'm also supposed to do that, and there's no way you can do it, or there's no way you can. It feels like double binds all the time, and I'm left having to do things faster than ever, but everything, there's no more processes, but the processes have kind of, I don't know, and broken down, so to speak, and everything, you have to really think through what actually needs to happen, and it's just so, I'm so stressed.
Are you under new management? Do you have a new boss?
I do, but I still, my other person is still around, but yeah, it's really, I think, since higher management change that this has happened. And it's so frustrating. I'm really having trouble dealing with it. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Because it feels like I can't, as hard as I try, I can't do what I need to do, and I'll say something, but it doesn't matter, and I'm a valued member of the team, but it doesn't feel like, it feels like I'm being put in a position to fail, and I've said there's no way that this can happen. Just this kind of, because in the past we would have that kind of a situation where people would be able to give feedback, and it would be taken into account, but now it seems like it just doesn't matter, and I'm a person who cares. I do really care, and I want to do my job well, obviously for God, most of all, but I don't even feel like I can really help people anymore.
But Belinda, it's apparent from what you're saying that your work ethic is high, but they're putting you into an impossible situation where too many things are expected of you. We hear your tears. You're at a high level of distress because you cannot perform as well as you want to, and as you probably always have before. I want to do a historical check with you, Belinda. Is this feeling of being unable to please, impossibly to please people, is this a familiar feeling? Did you feel this at all as a little girl growing up?
Yes, actually, yes, and yes.
Can you name the person that was impossible to please? Maybe in your family of origin.
probably my mom and my parents. You know, I don't think they meant to be like that. But it's, yeah, it's kind of like never being able to. And then I've since put myself in that position too. I got to take some ownership of that, because, you know, it's kind of like, I do want to do a good job, but I realize that the things that are being put on me, that's not really, I've said, hey, I don't think this is realistic, but it doesn't matter. You know, that's not really my responsibility. You know what I mean? But yet I am in that situation constantly, and I can't even, like, everything's extremely micromanaged. And
could it be that Belinda's just so good at her job that they know that she's going to get the job done, so they just keep piling more and more stuff on her?
Belinda, were you able to have a voice with your parents? I know you said that you weren't able to please them. Were you able to have a voice? Could you share these concerns with them?
No. These things, no, not really. I mean, they don't like talking about things. I kind of am a person that likes talking about things, but because I feel like, you know, the strange thing is my strength in the workplace is a conflict resolver. That's the strange thing, but I realize also my limitations. You know, I'm realistic about it, but I feel like almost everything can be worked through. So many things can be, and actually solutions can be found, and that's my kind of superpower. But these things I can't do anything about, and my folks, they don't like to talk about anything.
Yeah, what's interesting, I love the question that Alice asked you, and I often ask that to people too. And I was going to ask you this question because you said it doesn't matter to them, and I was going to say, well, who doesn't it matter to? And sometimes in therapy, I'll say to someone, who else could you say that to in your life? And Alice got there by asking you that historical question. So it sounded like you felt like you didn't have a voice growing up, and what I'm hearing now is the other connection is you don't feel like you have a voice now with your boss or whomever is the decision maker. Now, oftentimes, I think you probably developed a people pleaser attachment style, and oftentimes people pleasers, they get triggered by conflict, and so they want to go resolve it, they want to go fix it, and when there's tension, what happens is it creates anxiety on the inside of them, and so they're resolving conflict primarily to resolve the tension on the inside of them. And when it can't be resolved, they have these high levels of stress. Do you have, first of all, do other coworkers have the same concerns as you?
I would say yes, but we're all, because we're remote, we're isolated. We're not allowed to talk to each other except on a recorded line. All calls recorded, all IMs recorded, all IM Teams conversations recorded.
Is this phone call being recorded?
This is not, because it's on my personal phone.
Okay,
but I've
just
recently been
making sure.
asked to put something on my personal phone, and I'm not doing that.
Well, the reason,
yeah,
that's a lot of stress. The reason why I said that is because sometimes there's strength in numbers, and so if the group has a concern, to be able to bring it to the decision maker, that can hold more weight. What I would encourage you to do is to have a conversation with whomever is the decision maker. Or maybe even with HR. Sometimes HR are the intermediary between a boss and the employee, and they can facilitate conversations. But I think that you feel voiceless because you didn't have a voice growing up, and I think learning to have a voice, and oftentimes what I'll do in therapy is I'll practice these conversations with the client so that they can build skill in learning to do that. But you're feeling stuck because you feel like you don't have a voice, but I think a lot of that comes from your childhood.
And just a quick observation. So when she started this job, she didn't necessarily have this problem. It's just been in the last few years. So she probably thought this is the best job for me because there's nothing ever goes wrong. And it's just in the last few years that all of a sudden she's having to go back in time and have to figure out these things that affected her as a child that she may not have known about, but now she's dealing with them in the workplace.
And Belinda, that historical emotion that is similar to what you're going through now, it can exacerbate and increase your current level of stress. And so sometimes you may wonder, why am I so reactive? And work might be more than enough to create that reactivity. But if that struggle you had to please your parents, if you have not yet processed it sufficiently, if you haven't worked through the forgiveness process of your parents' imperfections and your own inability to completely please them, there's some self-forgiveness there that is probably needed, then that will augment your stress if those things are still alive and well in you. And any historical emotional wound we have, if it's not yet healed and it's bumped up against with a similar situation today, again, the pain is twofold because of the past and the present day. So if you got into counseling to work on the history, but also to identify the boundaries that you need to put in place to protect yourself in this workplace, and they may or may not go over. Boundaries are risky because if people don't want to accept what we say, I can do this, I can do A, but I can't do B today because I only have 24 hours. And if you want the kind of employee that can be upfront about what I can and cannot do, I'm your girl. But if you're going to say, it doesn't matter, you got to do it anyhow, I don't care if you have to work 24 hours, well, that's not the kind of employee I'm willing to be. Those are some really scary conversations to have. And financially, I don't know if you can have them or not. You may need this job. But working on boundaries can help build up your skill to know what are you willing to do, what are you not willing to do, and to draw that line in the sand in an appropriate, respectful way.
Belinda, are you married?
No, I live by myself. I'm single. I'm never married, no kids. So,
do you have anyone who you are close to?
We had kind of a church split not too long ago. So a lot of people moved away from the area or went other places. So that was in the last 5 to 10 years. My parents also aren't doing well, health-wise. So it's kind of like everything's hitting at the same time. I mean, and another close mentor and stuff has moved away in the last couple years.
So you're disconnected at work and you're disconnected personally too. So the reason why I asked that is on another show that we just did, I talked about stress and I talked about how I used to handle it and ways to handle it. And we want to bring stress into relationship. And I was able to handle stress this past weekend by asking my wife for a hug, by going on a walk and talking about it. And I'm hearing what you're saying is that you're a verbal processor. You need to talk it out. And as you talk it out, you also feel better too. So I encourage you to get connected to a group where you can find people who can be your community. And even if you can find someone who can be a best friend to you so that you can share some of these things. And at times you might need physical touch too, just to calm your body down. Now, what I'm talking about is just the symptom part. I still want you to do all of the other part where you address what the problem is. But I also want you to think about, how do I calm my body down when I get so stressed too?
And we have New Life recovery groups all across the country. And so we can look in your area to see if we can connect you into a group of women who are also working on their historical and present day issues.
Yeah, so if you'll hold on the line, or you can call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com to find these life recovery groups. But what would you also say to Belinda's boss, if he or she was listening right now, or anybody who's listening or watching who's an employer who maybe puts these kind of stipulations on employees and just ruling, so, micromanaging and everything? Why is that not the best way to handle your staff?
Yeah, I think what I would say is I've been in a supervisor position before too, where I've had to manage multiple employees, and usually the boss has a boss above them too, so they have a budget, they have an agenda that's being pushed onto them, and usually it just gets pushed down again. And so what I think for Belinda is to learn to be able to take some space and say to her boss, can we have a conversation? Do you have 20 minutes, 30 minutes for us to sit down and talk? And so I would create that space. And then for you, Belinda, too, I would learn to look down. What are the feelings? Talk about anxiety, talk about stress, talk about confusion. And start there and have a direct conversation with your boss that can be vulnerable, where you start by sharing about your feelings. And your boss may connect with a lot of that if he or she is feeling that same kind of pressure too.
And because productivity that's the goal of any company, to be able to say these things are getting in the way of my productivity. And so I need your help to strategize how I can stay productive and stay sane while getting done what I need to. But we have to look at my time management. We have to audit my time and what is asked of me, because sometimes more is asked than I'm able to do.
Belinda, thank you so much for calling in today. Should we send her a copy of the Boundaries book,
I think so.
Would that be a good one? Yes, it would. It's available for purchase as well on newlife.com. We have a store there with so many resources, page after page after page. And it's almost nonstop, but we're going to send you a copy. And if anybody wants to help by not directly sending the book to Belinda, but we're going to send it to her for free. So there's the cost of the book, the postage, all that other stuff. Maybe you can donate towards the purchase of that book. And you can do that by calling us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE or by making a donation, either a one-time donation, or you can sign up to make a monthly donation on Club New Life. All the details at newlife.com or 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Okay, when we come back, we're going to talk to Patricia in Columbia, Maryland. So stay right where you are. We've got more coming up here on New Life Live.
What a New Life course is it's around a topic led by a professional licensed counselor coach with a small group of 8 or 9 people on a weekly Zoom call. You're going to go through the information, but also connect as a group. Those group processes make all the difference in the world. And so we have created New Life courses so that you can experience that on a weekly basis. Every week you're meeting on Zoom with that therapist. You're going over the concepts as well as connecting as a group. It is so powerful. And it's accessible. Wherever you are, you're going to be able to join us. So you can sign up right away with 8 or 9 slots open. They're going to go quick. And so you want to call today and get registered.
Begin your transformation in April with a New Life course. Lose it for life, grief recovery, or divorce recovery. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Thanks so much for listening to us today, whether on the radio or on podcast or maybe on NRB TV on DirecTV channel 378 or on Sirius XM, the Family Talk channel 131. We are here to answer the questions you have about whatever it is you're going through, some kind of crisis or dilemma. Give us a call when we're here live. We would love to talk to you. Now, if that dilemma happens to be betrayal trauma, ladies, want to let you know that betrayal trauma is a painful type of trauma to recover from, and so we are here to help you. We devote an entire weekend called Restore for women who have been sexually betrayed to come together and focus on their own healing. It's led by 2 therapists who have been there and come out the other side whole. You will be seen, heard, understood, and find the hope that what happened does not have to define you. You can find out all about the Restore workshop, which is happening in May, at the beginning of May, 2nd through the 4th in Dallas, Texas. Get all the details at newlife.com or give us a call at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Let's go to the phones. In Maryland, Columbia, Maryland, here is Patricia listening on WAVA. Hi, Patricia. Thanks for calling in today.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. My issue is about my son. So my son, he's self-diagnosed with ADHD, and he told his doctor that he wanted medication for that. And she put him on D-amphetamine without actually diagnosing him. She just gave him the medication, which I thought was a little reckless. And now he's been on it, and he's addicted to it, as far as I'm concerned. And he was working at home for years, and now he finally got a job in the office, and he's really struggling. He's struggling with all kind of anxieties, social anxieties, emotionally. He's wondering if they like him, you know, everything. So he at the end of the day, he's just physically and mentally drained, and he doesn't even know. He's on probation, by the way. So he did ask me to search for an ADHD support group, and I wanted him diagnosed, and I just need resources to get him on the right track. And I really want him off of the amphetamine. And also, the bad part is he's not a Christian. He's not a believer.
Okay.
Patricia, thank you for all the details, especially that he self-diagnosed, and how disturbing for you that the doctor gave medication without her own evaluation or his own evaluation of what your son was going through. And I want to clarify a couple of the things you said. He's on probation. You meant legal probation. Is that right? And can you tell us why?
Oh, no.
New job, right?
He had started a new job.
Okay,
outside. He was working at home, so he didn't have to struggle with working around people. And I was happy to see him get an outside job in an office. But now that he's there, he's really struggling.
And is he still living at home with you?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And will you help us understand why? What has been going on in his life that he's stayed at home?
He just never ventured out on his own. And
how old is your son, Patricia?
32.
32. So he is well. I hear the way that you said that, 32, by the way. So I'm hearing that you're recognizing that he is well into adulthood and that he should be launching right now into his own independency. Do you think there are things that you're doing that are holding him back from doing that?
I'm not sure. I'm really not sure.
Well, so
maybe it's something I did in his young life to make him afraid to launch out. I have no idea why he is just stuck at home.
Well, and that's a good thought too, and maybe that's worth exploring somewhere at some time. But I think if he's living at home and he's 32, he probably needs to be pushed a little bit. And when I say a little bit, I actually mean a lot. I would suggest giving him a deadline to move out. Because what happens is he's got a lot of social anxiety. The opposite of anxiety is confidence, by the way. And so he lacks confidence, which is why he has social anxiety. The way that we learn confidence is through experience. And we actually have to have a level of risk to be able to have the experience to build confidence. And so if he's at home, if there's certain things that you are continuing to protect him from, where he's not being able to be an adult, I would say that you are contributing to this codependency cycle here. So that's where my recommendation would be to come up with a timeline to push him to move out and for you to learn to take your hands off of his steering wheel.
But if this kid is already under stress at work, a new job, and everything else, don't you think that would add to the stress? Because all of a sudden, mom's giving me 6 months to leave the house, or 3 months to leave the house. Would that make it worse?
Well, there's different types of stress. So that's a great question that you're asking. So there's normative stress, which is normal stresses. You know, everybody has stresses of going to school or riding a bike or learning to swim. And then there's tolerable stress. Tolerable stress is stress that you can get through if you have people who are around you and supporting you. And then you have toxic stress, which is like war or earthquakes or natural disasters. What I'm asking Patricia, you to do is to push your son, but this is tolerable stress because you can continue to provide emotional support. You're not going anywhere, and it's not abusive or destructive, but he's going to need that experience to push him to figure out that he can learn to do this by himself. Otherwise, he's going to stay stuck. You're just waiting for him one day to wake up and be the adult that he actually needs to learn to be, and he needs to learn that through experience.
Patricia will continue our conversation when we come back, and we'll also hear what Dr. Alice Benton has to contribute to this when we come back here on New Life Live. And Lynn, we'll get to you as well, so stay on the phone. Everyone else that's on the line who wants to call in, do it now. We've got about 30 minutes left here on the program. It's called New Life Live, and we are here every day for you.
New Life Ministries saved my completely broken marriage.
No matter how much hurt you've had to face, no marriage is beyond hope. At New Life Ministries Intimacy and Marriage Weekend, licensed counselors will help you rebuild communication skills and renew your commitment to each other.
You're building authentic intimacy, and you're learning how to connect on an emotional and relational level. You're learning how to listen. You're learning how to identify those core patterns that get in the way of good relationship.
The Intimacy and Marriage Weekend is February 14th to the 16th in Orange County, California. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50. 1-800-639-5433.
3.5 years later, we're still going strong. I would encourage anybody who's struggling in their marriage to go. They are more effective than anything else we tried.
Club New Life changes lives.
I think I go way back to listening to New Life, learning so much from it, and then becoming a Club New Life member.
Club New Life is a monthly giving family that helps New Life Ministries provide Christ-centered hope and counseling resources to thousands of people.
You know, I'm so thankful because you know why I keep giving? Because I keep learning, and I'm so thankful for all the lives that you touch every day and the people's lives. So when I get to still hear the radio show, it's just so encouraging to my heart.
When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, you'll make a difference in the lives of individuals and families with godly counsel and connection to help.
And you know one reason I give? Because I feel like sometimes I'm hiding behind a counselor's couch, listening to all this great information and not paying. So my guilt of this great advice is alleviated by being a Club New Life member.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. And together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Thanks so much for listening to New Life Live and for watching us too on Facebook and YouTube and on NRB TV. I'm Brian Perez here with Dr. Alice Benton and Marc Cameron and Patricia. She's our guest. Hi, Patricia. Are you still there? I think you are. Patricia? I hear some background noise. I think she's there. Anyway, so we were talking to her about, she called in about her 32.
Yes.
There you are. Hi there. You scared me for a minute there. So.
Patricia, Marc made a suggestion, which I imagine is pretty difficult to hear. What is your reaction to the idea of beginning to plan to help launch your son as part of the answer to his anxiety?
Yeah, that's pretty hard. But it's something I can consider. If I can convince my husband that we need to do that.
And how has your husband addressed what your son is struggling with so far?
He's kind of quiet, so he doesn't really have much input other than to just be supportive, be there for him when he needs to talk, but not much.
And has he not been concerned that your son is still living under your roof? Yes.
Oh, no, he likes the fact that he's at home. So he really doesn't, I don't.
Is it because he's overprotective or because he helps out with chores? I mean, why does he like him to be at home?
I guess just to see that he's safe and at home. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. And I do think
we have the space, and he doesn't see a need for him to have to leave.
Patricia, I do think there are really healthy ways of doing multi-generational living, especially if you see that your son is thriving because he's remaining with you all and carrying his share of the household load, responsibilities financially, contributing to the home. And so it may be that there is a healthy way to go about this, keeping him in the home, but it sounds like he's overly dependent on you all. So we're questioning that he's thriving under this setup. And
okay, okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
What were you going to say, Patricia?
He does he pays rent. He makes his own car payment. So he, gets his own food. So he is kind of, I think he would make it if he was to go out on his own.
So there is a level of independence here. So to connect it back to the question about ADHD, I would suggest and maybe even require, if you have the leverage to, a psych evaluation, a psychiatric evaluation, because your son has the motivation to want to be in an ADHD support group, which is a great request he's making, but you don't even know that the diagnosis is accurate because he hasn't been given that diagnosis by a professional. So if I were you, I would try to help him set up an appointment with a psychiatrist so he can have that determination. Is this even the correct diagnosis? And is this the right medication for him or not? Because stimulants can increase anxiety. It's also possible that he has comorbid disorders. He might have an ADHD disorder, truly, but an anxiety disorder as well. And that needs to be taken into account to be able to prescribe the right medication for both disorders because of the side effects that can happen. Then I would suggest that you enter into your own coaching, individual coaching, or perhaps with your husband, so that you two can determine, is our son living under our roof the right place for him to be, or is it time to launch him? Because it's a pretty complex conversation to have with you and your husband, let alone with your son. And then to set up the right kind of timeline that gives him enough heads up and support to be able to make that move out if you all decide that that's what he needs to do. Lastly, having a counselor or a coach for your son for his ADHD, if it turns out that's an accurate diagnosis. There are all kinds of ways to help cope with the disorder and to treat it outside of medication that can really bring down the symptoms of the hyperactivity and the inattention.
And Patricia, I'd encourage you just to consider the difference between preferences and what is good for us. I hear you talk about where your husband likes your son to be at home. He may like him to be at home, but is that good for your son to be at home? There's a difference there. Right. And so sometimes we follow our preferences, and it's really about our own insecurities because we struggle to see the other person struggle, or we feel comforted that the other person is around, but it's not really what's in the best interest for the other person too. So being able to differentiate and acknowledge, what are my insecurities that I need to work on to allow the other person to work on their insecurities if I'm holding them back.
We also, I think, have an obsession with safety. And I'm a mom. I get it. I want my kiddos to stay safe, too. But God doesn't call us just to remain in safety. In fact, sometimes he really wants us to go out. He calls us out and away from home. Go risk, go serve, go spread the word beyond just your safe home. Safety for our kids should not always be our highest priority. They don't always grow when they're too safe.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Patricia, stay on the phone. We're going to give you some resources, including the book Doing Life with Your Adult Children by Jim Burns. That's also available for purchase on the newlife.com store. And Lynn, we're going to talk to you now. But first, a reminder that your generosity, New Life listener, New Life viewer, makes all that we do possible and makes a huge difference to those who are hurting. Every gift helps. Whether it's a one-time contribution or you become a member of Club New Life, you can give online at newlife.com or by calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Lynn in Braintree, Massachusetts, listening on the New Life app. Thank you for calling in, Lynn. How's the weather in Braintree?
It's lovely, thank you.
Oh, that's great.
A little cold.
Yeah, it's cold here, too. We're all wearing sweaters today. It was like 61 today here in Southern California.
Don't
we are
rub
freezing.
it in. Don't rub it in. How can we help you, Lynn?
Well, when I spoke with the woman, I told her that I struggle with whether I'm filled with the Holy Spirit. Do I really belong to God? I was baptized as an adult. I'm still an adult. I don't know. I had a time in my life a number of years ago when I started to believe that I was, after all this happened in my life, all the other experiences in my walk, that for some reason, that he couldn't love me. Jesus could not love. How could he love me? How could he love me? And I went to talk with people, and I told them I was crazy and all this, and so whether that And so then shortly after, well, not shortly, but and I don't remember exact time, but when I was at a function, all of a sudden, it was kind of a Christian function. I heard, "I chose you, you didn't choose me." So then I thought, okay, so I did everything wrong. And then someone said to me, but that doesn't, maybe he means you. There was another meaning to that. And so then later, ever since then, I've, had doubts about that. And I just don't seem to know how to fully overcome it. I read the Bible. I go to a church. I haven't shared it with a lot of people. I do share it with a very, very dear, close friend of mine, and she tells me all the time I'm off the beam. I'm crazy, not in a bad way, but you know what I mean. That expression that this is true. I know it is, and I need to know it is, and that's what I want to know. How do I know it is?
Lynn, there are a variety of reasons we can doubt and question both our salvation or how close we are to God, whether or not He's forgiven us. And sometimes it has to do with guilt that we're still holding on to, even if we have the head knowledge that God has forgiven us. Is there some season in your life over which you still hold guilt for things you did or things that happened to you?
The only thing that happened, which I really don't think I had anything to do with, was we did lose a baby, full-term baby, and we have 3 children now. I had a few miscarriages too. He died very close to when I was to deliver him, and I don't know why, and I didn't know the Lord. I didn't know of God really then, and it was a horrible experience. So I don't. Other than that, I can't think of anything that I've done. I don't steal. I don't cheat. I don't lie. I don't know.
So are you thinking that maybe the Lord doesn't love you because He allowed your child to not be born? Does it go back to that?
I haven't really connected with that. I thought it was because I told him I didn't believe he could love me, but I don't connect those two things, Lynn. Really. That's the only thing I could think of. Yeah.
Lynn, I'm hearing 2 statements from you, and I want you to think about this, okay? Because we're going to go to a break. But I've heard 2 statements from you. Okay. One is I can't be loved, and the other statement is I don't belong. I want you to think about your childhood history, your historical history, and who didn't you feel loved by, or where did you feel like you didn't belong? So we're going to go to a break. I want you to think about that. When we come back, I want you to give me your answer.
Those 2 questions again, Marc?
Yeah. Who didn't you feel loved by? Or who didn't you feel like loved you, and where did you feel like you did not belong?
Okay, so Lynn, take a couple of minutes to think of the answers to those questions, and then we'll be right back here on New Life Live. I'm Brian Perez, here with Dr. Alice Benton and Marc Cameron. Alice is a clinical psychologist. Marc is a licensed marriage and family therapist, and we are here to help you with whatever it is you're going through now or what you've been going through for a long time. Thanks for listening, and thanks for watching New Life.
We all face days where life throws us a curveball and our routines or plans get disrupted. Things we wanted to do are forced to take a backseat to the unexpected demands of the day. If you normally listen to New Life Live on a radio station, well, you might not be able to that day. And on these hectic days when you're feeling stressed or frazzled, hearing the sound of counsel given on New Life Live is just what you need to navigate the unexpected things of life.
Every time I'm troubled or I have a problem, I'll cut on New Life, and there's always something that is said that is helpful to me.
By listening, I have learned more than I can ever express about how God wants me to live.
Download the New Life app for the easiest way to listen wherever you are and at a time that's convenient for you, or watch the show on our YouTube channel. You can even subscribe to our podcast from your favorite podcast provider. You never have to miss a day of New Life. Wherever you are, we are. For over 35 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addiction, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
I found a counselor through New Life Ministries, and it's just been outstanding.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first steps toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door for a better tomorrow.
To get someone that's competent, that's good at what they do, it's been like day and night compared to what I've had before.
Call 1-800-639-5433. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Here's Lynn in Braintree, Massachusetts. Are you still there, Lynn?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks for holding on through the break. So what are the answers to the questions Marc asked? And those questions again, Marc, were?
Yeah, who didn't I feel loved by, and where didn't I feel like I belonged?
I didn't feel loved by my mother. I'm not sure about my dad. He was always there, but they were very connected. I was the third of three girls. I didn't feel loved by my mom, especially, and I don't think I felt like probably connected at home that much. I mean, my mom was at home all the time, but she didn't tend to. She was busy, always working at home, doing things, being busy all the time.
So you didn't feel like you belonged in your family?
I think so. I have two sisters. I was the youngest, but no, I didn't. No, and I remember two incidences. One when I had an accident as a child, and when I came home, really messed up from the accident from school because I'm pretty old. They didn't know. My mom didn't even really comfort me. She just cared about what she was going to have to correct. That was one situation. And then I remember an incident as a child when I said to my sister, I was afraid it was Sunday night and I was afraid to go back to school. And she said, well, don't go down and ask Mommy and Daddy. They're not going to do anything. So.
Yeah, so when you needed comfort, when you needed love, you didn't get it. And so as children, we form beliefs about the world from our experiences with our parents. We either form a general, and this is general here, general belief that the world is safe and I am loved and people can be trusted, or it's the opposite of that. The world isn't safe. I'm not loved. I need to be weary of others. And so from our experiences, we form self-beliefs about ourselves. That's why they're self-beliefs. And so I hear two of your self-beliefs as I can't be loved and I don't belong. Now, these beliefs, I like to tell people beliefs are like anchors. Right? Anchors, if you're holding on to an anchor and it's the wrong anchor, it will pull you down into the depths of insecurity. But if you're holding on to the right anchor and you're going through an emotional storm, that anchor will keep you grounded and you'll be safe. And you have got these two anchors that even though you have the head knowledge that God loves me, they keep pulling you back down into, but I can't be loved, but I don't belong. And what I believe these stem from is those early emotional experiences that you had with your mom and with your family. And I think if you address that, if you get into therapy, and we can connect you here with somebody who takes a historical lens and helps you walk through that, I think you'll be able to resolve that, and that will resolve how you feel God feels about you.
Dr. Alice Benton, anything from you?
Lynn, I agree, because people are God's hands and feet. And so when we're disconnected from God and we can't sense Him in our life, we usually need people to stand in that gap. And it's by being loved by people in a new and better way now as an adult that you'll be able to feel God's love and His presence. And I think you'll be surprised how much your feelings towards God will resolve as you get repair in relationship with other people. I appreciate that you have this dear friend that you can bring your fears to, but I'm going to scold your friend a little bit. She tells you you're crazy for thinking that. And of course, she's trying to comfort you, but you're not crazy for thinking, where's God? Why don't I feel Him? You're not crazy. You're just hurt because you didn't feel your mom's love. So Marc is helping you to see that's not a crazy emotion at all. It's just a misplaced emotion because we can project what we experienced in our family of origin onto God. And so I want your friend to listen to this call, because I know she cares for you and loves you. When we feel lonely and scared and we don't know what to do about it, it's not helpful to be told we're crazy. What is helpful is to say, well, let's figure out why you feel this way. Let me ask some questions. The Bible says that the heart is deep waters, and it takes a person of understanding to draw them out. Lynn, there are times that I don't know why I feel what I feel. I could think, wow, I feel like my anxiety is so big for this given situation. Why am I overreacting like this? Because there's usually something else connected to the feeling. It's coming from somewhere else. It's not just the current situation. It's usually something historical. So I want your friend to start asking, just tell me more. Oh, you're worried that you're disconnected from God. Tell me more. That's where healing comes in. And that's what a good clinician, a good therapist will do with you.
And what your friend, it's interesting because I just had this insight, what your friend's doing, and she's doing it unknowingly, by the way, and she's meaning because she's wanting to just challenge that in you and say, no, you are loved. And so she says, oh, you're crazy. That's not how it is. But what's happening is she's unknowingly reinforcing that trauma in you, because you said you had that experience in you and you wanted to say something, and your sister said, no, don't tell mom and dad. You're not going to get the comfort. And so that's the same thing that's happening with your friend. When somebody just dismisses it for you, it just reinforces, I'm not going to get the comfort. And when you get into a therapeutic relationship, the therapist actually becomes an attuned attachment figure for you. And we are trained, and hopefully we're all trained in this way, that we empathize, we validate, we acknowledge pain, and we don't dismiss it for you. And I think as you learn to get that experience from somebody, that will help heal the wounds.
Now, Lynn, I'm sure your friend is a great person, but as your friend is listening to this episode of New Life Live on podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, and she just heard what Dr. Alice Benton said, instead of saying, oh, no, Lynn, God loves you, you're crazy, of course he loves you. But instead to say, tell me more. That's almost challenging, because now Lynn's friend has to devote more time to Lynn and may not be ready for that. So what would you suggest for Lynn's friend?
Well, what Marc has been describing, Lynn, it's described so well in the book, How We Love. And there's a style of listening in that book called the Comfort Circle. And there's even a freebie Comfort Circle on Milan and Kay Yurkovich's How We Love website. And it's this style of prolonged listening where we get and stay curious long enough to draw out the deeper heart emotions that a person has. You don't have to be a therapist to use the Comfort Circle. You can just print it off the website. You and your friend can use it. You can ask your husband to learn to do it with you. But it gives therapeutic listening to walk through these simple, not easy, but simple steps of the Comfort Circle. So if your friend wants to learn how to become a better listener, that's a great and structured way of how to go about it.
Yeah, and we're not, and to clarify, we're not beating your friend up here.
No,
because she's doing what she's learned to do, and that was likely what her experience was. It was likely dismissive from her parents in her family of origin, and that's how she learned to move past her feelings. So she does it with herself, so she's doing it with you, but it's not helpful. We need to be seen, known, heard, understood in our pain, and that's what heals.
Yeah, Lynn, we are not dissing your friend at all. If anything, I'm dissing myself. I'm the one who brought that up, because I'm that type of person sometimes. When someone comes out, hey, full confession here, when somebody comes to me with their issues and I may not have time, now I just tell them, call New Life Live. They can help you, 1-800-229-3000. But sometimes it's hard to now all of a sudden, devote more time to help people, but it's important. We can't just brush people off. We have no idea what people are going through.
And very few of us receive genuine comfort in childhood. And so, as Marc is saying, we all have this default style of responding to people's pain. And it's usually not the best response, but we can learn how to improve that response.
So we're going to send you a copy of that book that Alice mentioned. It's called How We Love. It's also available for purchase on the New Life store at newlife.com. Stay on the phone, and we're going to send you a copy. Lynn, hey everybody, thank you for calling in today. We're out of time, but we'll be back soon with more episodes of the program, live episodes. You can call us with your questions, your concerns, whatever crisis you might be going through. We can help you here, try to get it resolved. Maybe it's a familial thing, maybe it's an employment situation, something at Church. We're here to help you here at New Life Live. You can find out all about us at newlife.com, including our upcoming intensives. There's the Intimacy and Marriage Intensive, February 14th weekend in Orange County. Every Man's Battle, February 28th, also in Orange County. And the Restore Healing After Betrayal Intensive in Dallas, Texas in May. God bless you guys. We'll talk to you again next time here on New Life Live.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Thanks for watching today. We love helping people. I hope you sense that. And we know that there's always hope if you find the right resource. Now, if something we've said to somebody else applies to you, that's fantastic. That's what we're hoping for. But also, if you want to join us directly, you can call 1-800-229-3000 between 1 and 3 Eastern Time, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Those are the best times to get through. And while you're here on YouTube, check out these other videos that we've done to help people see where they could grow or a different path to take. And if you do that, would you give us a thumbs up on the video and please subscribe to this channel. There are many ways that we can help you outside of the radio program, and it's very hard for some to pick up a phone and dial 1-800-NEW-LIFE. But when you do, we put you in touch with somebody who cares about you, knows all the resources out there, and they're going to find the best for you. There is no reason to struggle alone. I hope to see you tomorrow. Hope you'll invite somebody else to come and join that maybe needs just a little bit of help along the way. I'll see you next time.